Well, they are young, smart and boast a property portfolio that most of us can only dream of. But far from starting out rich, they've achieved it all from very humble beginnings. Tonight, this impressive bunch shares their tips on how to break out of the rental rut and buy your own home.
They're the young Donald Trumps.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
With a better haircut.
I first bought my property at 23 years of age.
And not much in their pocket.
I was only on $45,000 a year.
Renting and thinking you'll never be able to buy your own home, or with property prices like they are, thinking your kids are destined to never have their Australian dream.
Your dream is very alive.
Don't despair.
Yeah, it's definitely still possible.
Sold, congratulations.
Meet Michael. He's lost count how many properties he has.
Just short of 15, I think. Yeah.
Worth how much?
Around $5.5 million mark.
Started just a few years ago when he was 22.
All right, Michael, did Mum and Dad help out? Did they give you the money for the first property?
All my own hard work.
Didn't have a degree in finance or marketing.
Actually, I got kicked out of school.
He was a security guard.
A lot of hard work, 7 days a week, 14-hour days on minimum wage.
In fact, he had nothing going for him to become a property mogul, but he's done real well.
I purchased this 2 years ago for $242,000 and just recently had a comparable in this complex sell for $400,000. I paid $260,000, $26,000 spent on renovations, currently worth $600,000.
This one on Bondi Beach has doubled in price in just a couple of years. And then there's the ones in Queensland.
I bought that prior to the rezone, I think for $284K. And you could put 5 townhouses on that now since the rezone came through about a month ago.
This one's even better.
And we're going to put 25 townhouses on there.
Well, I started saving when I was 18 and then bought my first house when I was 21.
Tom also never had any help. On 45 grand a year, remember, yet amassed 3 properties valued at well over $1 million so far.
I've got 3 properties at the moment, roughly worth $750,000.
Danny is another one in his 20s, well on the way to never working again and just living off the rent. All of them did 4 very important things. But before we go on, a word of warning.
The fear of missing out, that you get in whatever it takes, however much you pay, is the quickest way to get in trouble.
Any other bids, ladies
and so it might be if you're a first-timer thinking of taking on a massive mortgage just to get into the expensive markets of Sydney and Melbourne. Build up your capital growth to eventually get into the big cities by investing in a smaller city or regional Australia, says Neela Sweeney of Your Investment Property magazine.
There are also other areas outside the inner cities. You just have to sort of lower your expectations.
I was sort of forced to go and look in a country town down in Geelong.
That's what Tom did.
So rather than waiting to buy my ideal house as the first house, I thought it's better off to get into the market sooner rather than later.
Danny did the same, and some homework to ensure he'd make some profit.
You have to look in some of the regional areas and look at who's spending money. So you look at the private enterprises and also government spending through infrastructure and hospitals and these types of things.
They also did one other thing.
So one of the strategies that I used was to stay at home as long as I could until I bought my first house.
That way, Tom saved a good deposit, giving him some healthy equity in the property.
An ideal way to buy your first property that you can't afford to live in is to actually, while you're at home with mum and dad, or some low rent alternative, is you buy the property you may live in 3 or 5 years' time. And you use our tax laws.
Finance expert Paul Clitheroe says Tom's strategy is very doable.
You can borrow at around 4% at the moment, not much more than 4%, and rent, even in our big cities, is typically around 3%. So if you're borrowing at 4% and you're getting 3% in rent, the actual cost of money is 1%. And that, of course, is a tax deduction.
But, and here's the but, partygoers, enjoy life. However,
you can't have your cake and eat it too.
If you want a deposit for a home, you thirdly need to compromise.
Overseas travel when I was in my 20s was a huge novelty. Owning a car was kind of nearly a bit unusual. Credit cards for me didn't exist in my 20s. So guess what? And also, by the way, I hadn't got a cocktail habit. I used to like cheap VB at the local pub.
Work hard, work very hard, work overtime. Don't go out and, you know, and party.
You need to leave those luxury items till last.
You know, first trip to Europe was at 31 years of age.
I see a lot of people these days that, the younger people, they do want the latest and greatest straight away, and they want to buy their ideal first house as their first house. They want to buy all brand new furniture on 0% interest.
They sacrificed, but they're having a good time now, and they're still young.
My first house was actually a dump, so it needed a huge amount of renovating to add value.
Renovation is their final golden rule. Yeah, those flashy new joints look real cool, but someone else has made a profit on that, from you.
I've already had the new pavers arrive.
So, like these guys, you need to roll up your sleeves and transform kitchens, bathrooms and so on. Michael was no decorator, but he liked TV.
Love renovation shows, like The Block and things like that.
And we reckon he's done a pretty good job on this property. So where do you start?
Google's fantastic. So Google everything.
That's how he did it.
I'm putting a lot of my money in Brisbane.
And there's still opportunities in smaller capital cities.
Adelaide or even Hobart that are still affordable, and you can pick up good quality properties for under $400,000.
But above all, be sensible and don't overstretch yourself, says the guru.
I am encouraging caution around borrowing too much because this is a most unusual time in history.
So think outside where you live to start building your big city deposit. Stay at home if you're young and save a deposit and keep the lifestyle spend to a minimum. If you're older, be prepared to DIY. If you do, they all say,
Oh, it can be done. It can be done. It's knowledge. Knowledge is the key.
Good effort, and for more information on that story, head to our website.